I saw something that I didn't think could be true, and I'm pretty certain I knew what I saw, and seems as though it was true.
Friggin' sheep eating polystyrene. I shit you not.
Geez, here goes your friggin' organic free-range sheep. You know, now it's going to be organic free-range friggin' toxic sheep. I've seen some bullshit over the years. You know, there's a young lamb we used to have that used to hang around the house when I was living at my parents' place, and it used to try and chew this brass tap, like it was like, you know, tap out on the lawn sort of thing, and on a little hardwood stake sort of thing, and this thing every day would give the tap a little chew. The next day, sure as eggs, you see it trying to chew the tap again, almost like as though, well, maybe it'll be ripe today, so if I chew it today, it might be, you know, ripe enough to eat this time round. And see one trying to chew the bricks on the house once. Flaming sheep. Anyway, I should have done it a lot earlier. Just having a break from doing a bit of potting up there and trying to remix all the other stuff in. I've got the whole lot in the bucket there, the plastic bin rather, and it takes a bit of effort sort of stirring it all in, but I've got to go around the back here, and hair's been real greasy the last few days. I feel like friggin' Elvis Travels or something. Shit, it's greasy. Anyway, I've got a little piece, one of the offcuts, and I've just got to belt it into there. Silicon a few things up like that. And probably around here a little bit. Sort of trim that with the box cutters that come out reasonably nice. And of course, just little bits along there, a couple of the knots. Oh shit, paint didn't go on terribly thick either. Damn it. I ended up throwing out the roller and the paintbrush because they were about stuffed, but that's not very good. I might have to give that another coat because I can still see the bloody primer through it. Shit. Well, at the top there come up quite alright, but just I sort of went a little bit heavy on some of these, and stupid little nails, little tacks sitting underneath, and they keep catching the roller every time you go past, and it stuffs you up quite a bit, so I might try and pull those out and have another go one of these days. Don't know what day. Oh, I can probably do it Monday. Much shit going on all at once. Anyway, yeah, probably should redo this bit here. Anyway, I'll get out the cork and gun and we shall fire away. Alright, the crickets are making noise. I got this sorted. I actually siliconed over all the little screw holes. Yeah, seems to got... Shit, missed that one. Anyway, that's pretty well seated in. Got the silicon up here. Damn thing went and dried in the end. The remains of that tube that had been used into the front gable has gone and dried up, so I had to cut the bastard open with box cutters and then just do it all. Dipping my finger in and squirming it over with a glove. That's very well lathered up, that little piece that's gone in there, which you can't see because it's just wanting to be a pain in the arse. Yeah, our father just come over before and he was talking about this joint we've got to go to tomorrow, and I get there's a lot of stuff, but we will be getting stuff that can burn for the bonfire and plenty of timber, and I'm going to take the bloomin' jerry can and the container of bar oil and go, go, go. Make a real go of it. Prune all the damn trees, and it's Jesus, it's showing a lot darker than it is. But anyway, we'll see how we go tonight with the whole shenanigans with these batteries. But I got a bunch of candles, and instead of running down my LED lantern or using the LEDs in there, I might just get a couple of candles going, little tea light candles. Hopefully Pushy doesn't touch them. Oh, anyway, put all those there. Cats don't seem to be terribly interested in them. And, yeah, tomorrow's another day. Alrighty, hang on. Now, trying this out, I realised it was sitting at 12.67 volts. And I decided, okay then, I'll turn on 65 watts of lights, because I've got like a 40, or I think it's 45 watt incandescent in with a fridge that I rarely use, and a 20 watt in here. And all of a sudden she dropped from 12.67, which is a good float voltage. That's it, yeah, that's a pretty reasonable float voltage, down to 12.3, and then she continued on down and was just going down second by second. The one you see on the right there was just dropping 1 second at a time. That, well, you can't see it, is my multimeter. At least you can see the screen. So the sun's starting to come up now, because about, oh, what is it, it's like 7:45 or something. See, it's still having troubles, still just wavering around a little bit. I'll see if I can show you it in action. Hang on. How I get it to activate is I turn all this off for a little bit. And you give it a few seconds, and I'll give it a few seconds, and then we'll turn it back on again. And I'll show you, as I turn it on, it just starts dropping. Unfortunately, this doesn't have backlight. This multimeter. This multimeter's out of 1998, and I'll tell you what, she's brilliant. Brilliant! And I think it's made in Taiwan as well. No, you're not going to be able to see that, but anyway. I'll go flick all this back on. I'll turn this off for about 10 seconds just to have a sip of coffee there. So she's been off for probably 20-30 seconds. And on and on. Turn 2 lights on there, as you can probably hear. And let's keep our eye on the money here. How come this was a whole lot brighter a minute or two ago? Same spot, same light. As you can see, she's slowly just ticking down a bit. So it's starting to pick up sun because I've left it a bit too late. So it's still dropping piece by piece. Just before, it would just tick down like a blooming seconds clock. Unfortunately, I've wanted to have them too. I wanted to get the alligator clamp leads, and well, I don't have any yet because I haven't bought any. I doubt I'd use them very much though, so it might be a waste of $10-15 worth of leads. What I'll do, I'll go get me HID. Yeah. It's packed away too much. And then I'll see if I can kicking my other phone because it's got really good LEDs in the flash here. Anyway, there you go. You get the general idea there. You turn the light off and the power jumps. Now, what were we before? 1.8, 12.18, 12.17, and as you saw there, jumped up to 12.5, 4.9, 5.1, 0.51. You know what I'm saying? You're just seeing it jump right up. And that's jumped up. What are we looking at? 0.34 volts just by turning the lights back off again. And yeah, if I was to leave that, as you could see, it crept up there. 12.49, 12.50, 12.51, and if I was to leave it, it'd creep right back up to the 12.67 that it was at when I first checked it before I even turned any lights on. But yeah, this is a thing, like it, you know, takes a fair bloomin' hit. And you think you're alright initially because your volts are fine, and as soon as you put on a bit of a load, I mean, that's 65 watts. It should handle 400 watts, probably damn near 600 watts. And yet we're at about, you know, like, what's that, like about 13-15% of what it should be able to handle, and you can see it dropping right back. And naturally speaking, they drop right back under load anyway, but not that much with such a small draw. And when you can get small draws and drop back quite a bit, that's a bit disturbing. That means they're on the way out. It's when you get the heavy draw that you should see it kick back, you know, a volt or so. But as I had the other day, to kick back 0.9 of a volt, you know, it might kick back 1.5 volts or something like that, cranking a car engine in a car battery. But shit, you got to realise that car batteries, you know, like car starter motors take massive watts, massive amps to turn over compared to, you know, little 65 watts worth of blooming lights. And here I was playing around the other day, and I could get it with one 13-watt light to drop 0.9 of a volt. You know, it's like, holy smoke. You know, and even there, like it's dropped from 12.67 down to 12.17, you know, just with my playing around in the last 5 minutes, which, you know, right there, that's half a volt, you know, just over a couple of lights. But they're still holding on. Like yesterday, like last night rather, I didn't use any inside lights except for the LEDs. I didn't bother with candles, so I don't know why I haven't bothered saying that. But I just stuck the LED lights in here and another particular LED torch, and it was fine, you know. And I sort of kept, as usual, couldn't sleep terribly well because I was a bit preoccupied looking at the little red LED, and the thing never went off, and it ran its whole course. And I looked at the timer, and the timer had gone right around to where it should have been, so it never turned off and paused for any real deal of time, at least anyway. So yeah, it's still managing to hold this out, but I can't run lights and have this run for, you know, 5 hours at night. I cut it back for 3 hours last night. And, you know, it ran, but I didn't use any lights other than those little tiny 0.8 watt LEDs in there. So it's one of these things where it's functioning, but only just barely. It's like a car engine that's still running, but it's just absolutely fucking gutless. So you got to read in between the lines and know what it is. I mean, when I had that the other day, the inverter cut out twice. I mean, holy smoke, like, I've never really had that happen just from using a couple of lights. I mean, I've had nights here where I spent the entire night on a laptop when I was working afternoon shift. You know, 7 hours straight with a laptop turned on at the wall the whole time. You know, and this is the thing. One other time we had 3 cloudy days in a row and I was using that laptop the same sort of a way. Lights on, running the laptop 7 hours at a stretch, and I finally, after 3 cloudy days in a row, made the inverter turn off. And that next day was bright and it was fine. And it actually shut down early the next morning when I went to turn the lights on for breakfast. And I come back that afternoon after the first sunny day in 4 days, and it was fine. And, you know, when you sort of have a sunny morning, very sunny, very bright morning, and don't really run anything in the afternoon, and then just run a couple of lights and a little 17-watt heating pad at night and come out the next morning and it will not run the blasted bedroom light for any more than a couple of minutes without it cutting out, yeah, it's because these batteries are dropping in voltage under a very slight load, and of course they hit that magical voltage, which I've got a funny feeling, just by what I've seen yesterday, is probably 11 volts, and this inverter shuts off at 11.0. Some of them are 10.5 volts, but I think this one's set to about 11.0 volts, and then it goes off, and then I'll turn the light off, and then it'll raise up again, like you saw it trying to do there for a few seconds, and the light would come back on again because it had hit the right volt level. So you turn the light on again, and then after a while, volts will drop, and then it'll drop below the level, so the inverter will turn off again. You know, as I said, I've only had the inverter shut out once before from low batteries, and done it a couple of times in one morning when I didn't really run any things of significant load, like that evaporative cooler blower that runs at 90 watts, to cause anything really to, you know, cop a hard hammering. Alright, we went in there. I managed to get a bit of shopping done. Show you what we got. It turned out there were some big trees, but there were a lot of smaller things, and by the time we loaded up with leaves and so on and so forth, they couldn't really take on many of the big trees, and if we did, you know, some of them were a little bit too big to take on, and others, well, yeah, I don't think they would have been terribly good burning, and it would have just sort of been small anyway, very sort of a tree which was, as it got up higher where it needed trimming, it was ridiculously thin and very well spread out. And but what we did get wasn't actually there was anything collapsed on the footpath, but the footpath was overgrown with all these different bits and pieces, and we sort of trimmed all that out, done a bit with a reciprocating saw. They got in there with the loppers. But what there was, it was collapsed in regards to a tree, was a melaleuca. This is a different variety from the, you know, the trees I got at the front? The ones are those that are going well with the taller guards. They're melaleucas. My father's got some, and they all seem to die after about 14 or 15 years. He's also got melaleucas. But his variety is different from mine, and this is a different variety again. But I'll tell you what, she's a pretty good wood, and this was dead. So all these, not the little sticks, there's a couple of that one is all green, but all the rest is already dry. And seems as though they get borer in the roots, but they've got a limited lifespan anyway. Just the way it is, you know. I don't really... Oh, there's a few that are very large. In fact, this is probably the largest one I've seen, but, you know, this probably lived about 25 years and dropped dead. They never sort of really get a decent life in them. But that's good. I mean, that's, you know, that's a nice little log or two there. That'll keep me warm. And I probably should cut this a little bit more as well, but I sort of blunted my chain, so I gave up because it was just getting ridiculous. That I'll trim up with a circular saw. I'll trim all this with the other miter saw, rather. I'll trim this with a miter saw later on. Anyway, I'll show you, put my finger over the mic and show you what we got in regards to leaves that are out of my bonfire heap. Already cutting up the old weatherboards for kindling. They actually go good. They're very thin, the weatherboards. These ones, I swear these old ones are thinner than the new ones. Like, look at that. How bloody thin that is. And even the base, you know, not terribly thick. Even the ones with the base are still alright, you know, not terribly thick. That'd be a little more than half an inch thick, actually. And the newer ones, which that's an off-cutter, one of the ones we use in the gable, are actually a bit thicker on it. Anyway, the new ones are also softwood. The old ones coming off the back of this are also hardwood, like the entire house. Well, at least the entire house was originally. Anyway, I'll put my finger over the mic and show you all the random leaves and shit we got. So there we go, quite a substantial blooming amount of stuff there. Yeah, I got on with her surprisingly well. I think she's in her probably, you know, early 60s or something like that. She's on a walker. She's obviously got some real issues when it comes to her legs or something like that. She's talking about physiotherapists and whatnot, but it just walking is a real issue for her. But yeah, we got on quite well there, talking about the Morpheus butterfly and all that sort of a thing. And when she started on chickens and all that, and her daughter hatches out rare breeds of bantams, and she said, "Oh look, I'll blooming get you some if you want," sort of thing. And I said, "Oh, the cats would probably kill it." And she went on about how her parents sort of started in. They had a farm, and then they sort of moved to egg production, and then they sort of, from there, they went to different kinds of poultry, you know, turkeys, and that I think might have been one of the ones, but definitely chickens, and it was like a catering or like a delivered roast where you'd, you know, order a roast or a certain amount of roast, and they'd go out and kill a certain amount of, you know, chickens or ducks, or I think they might have had turkeys as well. And then, you know, at the set time you've got to be here for this fate to provide all the poultry-related meat, and they'd turn up there with a whole lot roasted already, sort of thing. And they sort of bit of entrepreneurial in a way like that. First people to sort of you know, do that sort of thing, specialising more so. I don't know if it was just catering in general as well, like they done cakes and all that as well, but they definitely roasted a lot of stuff and provided that for people who ordered it, maybe for events, and I think maybe even, you know, personally for Christmas and birthdays and stuff like that. And yeah, but the old farm was one thing, and they started to make quite a bit of money out of eggs, and then moved into actually doing all the full-blown plucking and gutting and the whole lot, and then roasting it. And she said they'd sort of dress them a certain way and all that. They probably put stuffing in the whole lot, and then, you know, you just sort of put in your catering order or whatever, and they would provide, all completely out of chickens they hatched themselves, and, you know, other ducks and whatnot. And they had, you know, their own incubator system and the whole shebang. They were into it in quite a big way. You know, it started as like all these sort of things, started as only a bit of a, we can make a few money out of eggs, a bit of money out of eggs, and then it sort of really started to take off, sort of thing. And yeah, went from a minor thing on the side to make a bit more money to quite a decent little earner. But yeah, I was surprised at how good of a chat we had with. Sometimes you think you have nothing in common with people, and then what do you know? You do. And it's just because of my, you know, watching blooming different animal documentaries and understanding a bit about homesteading stuff and all that. So yeah, I really didn't expect to have such a good chat with her.